My name is Ellen, and I'm here at the Las Vegas Natural History Museum interviewing somebody very, very special. My guest's name is Baruti, and he lived in ancient Egypt more than 4,200 years ago. So Baruti, today we're going to ask you a few questions to get a feel for what it was like living in ancient Egypt during your time. My first question is, what kind of food did you eat, and when did you eat it?
Well, the food that I as a priest should eat would depend on my station in life. As with all Egyptians, the foods determined by the amount of money that you have. For example, a farmer who even grows the food cannot afford to eat the same foods that I, a priest, would eat. And then I, a priest, cannot afford to eat the same foods that the pharaohs and our wealthier Egyptians would eat. Now, the pharaohs and the wealthier Egyptians start each day, particularly at noon, a huge feast for all of their people. Whereas I would start my day with a breakfast, with a meal called full madamas. And it's made of garlic, lemons, and fava beans. Wonderful meal. And then a smaller meal in the afternoon, in the midday, where it would be mostly fruits and vegetables, dates, pomegranates, figs, things of this nature. And then in the evening, we would have beef, fowl, more fruits and vegetables, breads, and of course, beer and wines. We drink beer with every meal as our Egyptians because sometimes, most times, the water from the Nile is not really suited for human consumption, for humans to drink. So we drink beer with every meal.
So what do you like to do for fun?
I like to listen to the musicians play. That is my greatest delight. But then after a day of mummification, I like to play the game Senet with my son. It's a great way of sort of shaking off the feelings of the temple and making a mummy.
So what is it that you do for work?
I am a high priest of the god Anubis. Anubis is the god of mummification and embalming. My job is to create mummies, to prepare them not only for our pharaohs but for our wealthier citizens as well. It's a 70-day process. It's not suited for everyone. Sometimes the process, particularly when we remove the viscera, the internal organs from our pharaoh, this is a process that, say, some of our priests could become a bit squeamish and they won't be able to survive it. So it's not made for everyone. Fortunately, my son, who I am tasked with preparing to become a priest of Anubis, is not squeamish at all.
Do you know, how did you guys build the pyramids?
The pyramids. Pyramids was a long journey. The first way that we buried our pharaohs, we simply buried them in the desert sands. We thought in secluded places, only to discover that mangy jackals would find their bodies and ravage them, ripping them sometimes limb from limb. And our pharaohs, who need to pass through the afterlife to become the great god Osiris, must remain beautiful. So at some point we began to place them in these rectangular mud huts called mastabas. Now these mastabas worked for a while. They protected our pharaohs' bodies, but it wasn't a real tomb for our pharaohs. So then an architect and philosopher by the name of Imhotep came along and he discovered that if you take the mastabas and you stack them one upon the next, you could create what was the original stepped pyramids. Now these pyramids lasted for a while. And then, as with the pyramid that's being built as we speak, for the great pharaoh Khufu, Hammon, which is his architect, determined that if you take the angle of the pyramids, you smooth out the edges, and it's 51.5 degrees. If you take that particular angle, you can create what we now know as the pyramids, with each stone perfectly aligned, aiming to the great northern stars in our sky, a tribute to the great work of all Egypt and also could not be done than the great god Osiris himself. I would be remiss if I did not remind you, people of your time believed that the pharaohs were built by slaves. This is not true. The pyramids were built by Egyptian citizens. You had stonemasons and quarrymen who worked on the pyramids all of the time. However, other citizens, fishermen, farmers, weavers, all walks of life, during their off seasons or during times when they were slower in their work, would come and work on the pyramids as an homage to the great Pharaoh and also as service to the great nation of Egypt.
So what would you say are some of your most important laws, and what happens if you break them?
Shall I say there were consequences? Many of our laws are not written, for we are, as Egyptians, are very secretive people. We don't write a great many things because a great many people would steal these things that we cherish. We do follow the laws of the great goddess Ma'at. Ma'at is the law of justice, peace, and harmony. By following those laws, the laws of balance, which I believe your justice system is based upon, the laws of the scales, everything must be fair and balanced. So different crimes require different punishments, anywhere from small punishments to being banished from the great nation of Egypt to corporal punishment. But do not fear, when there are crimes created or perpetrated in Egypt, there will be consequence.
So where does all of your water come from?
From the great mother of all men, the great Nile River. From her banks, all life flows into Egypt. All of our fruits and vegetables, when the Nile overflows our banks, are able to flourish and manifest to feed all of our great people. So all of our riches and everything that we know as life comes from the great mother of all men, the Nile River.
So what kind of people do you end up trading your goods with?
All sorts of people. Egyptian artisans from Canaan. We get our timber from Byblos. We also trade with Nubia and other nations of that sort. We get ebony, ivory, many of the precious stones that we need to create the artwork and the things that we would need. All of these things come from the people that we trade with.
So why do you guys like cats so much then?
Our cats are considered to be very, very lucky. And also cats are considered to be children of the goddess Bast, the god of childbearing and peace and prosperity. So a great many people who take cats into their homes are considered to have good luck because of that. Some of our wealthier citizens even asked me to mummify the cats after they had passed in order to cherish them throughout the rest of their lives.
So what kind of religion do you follow?
What we in Egypt follow is a polytheistic religion. Now this religion is multiple gods, several gods. Some of our smaller villages have even other gods that they particularly worship, but all of Egypt worship the same core gods, the polytheistic gods.
Okay, well, I think that was all of our questions that we had for you, Baruti. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for coming to visit us in our great past land of Egypt.
Yeah,
this is Ellen.
Yes, Ellen.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you guys for watching today. I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Bye.